In tonight's headlines, the Hang Seng Index continues its bull run for a sixth consecutive day to close beyond 22,000 points. A widening wealth gap in the SAR sees a surge in poverty in the first quarter of the year, with the median monthly income for the poorest averaging a meager $1,600. And no clear winner after Republican nominee J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz have a cordial face-off in the U.S. vice presidential debate.
Hong Kong stocks rocketed to their biggest single-day gain in 2.5 years. After a record turnover of $434 billion propelled shares for a sixth straight day. The market remained robust, hitting a 22-month high despite the absence of northbound trading, as stock exchanges on the mainland are closed for the Golden Week holiday. The benchmark Hang Seng Index crossed the 22,000-point mark, gaining 6.2%. With a surge in brokerage accounts from the mainland, Hong Kong exchanges and clearing rose 14.2%. Chinese developers thrilled on reports indicating that new home transactions had spiked, making Longfor Group one of the biggest winners of the day at 25%. China Wanke leaped 61%, gaining $4.55 to close at a 52-week high of $12. On its debut in Hong Kong today, kitchenware manufacturer cordial was a hot stock which was snapped up by hungry investors, sending it to a record high of $9.15, shooting 58.3%.
The wealth gap in the city has further widened since the pandemic, with the number of individuals living in poverty continuing to rise. Analyzing government data from 2019, Oxfam Hong Kong, an organization dedicated to combating poverty, released an alarming report, revealing that over 1.39 million residents are living in poverty. The wealth gap has widened to nearly 82 times from just over 34 5 years ago. Comparing the median monthly incomes of the poorest and the richest households in the SAR, the report states that in the first quarter of this year, the poorest 10% of households made a mere $1,600 per month, while the wealthiest families earned over $130,000. In the same period, the number of poor households in Hong Kong jumped 20% to 610,000, with 95% aged 65 or above. Oxfam is calling on the government to reconsider its poverty line to gain a comprehensive understanding of the situation, advocating for more precise poverty alleviation measures.
The government has cited meteorological factors for cancelling the mega drone show, which was supposed to be one of the highlights of the National Day celebrations yesterday. A similar event was cancelled at the last minute a day earlier, with officials saying that ionospheric scintillation occurred over Victoria Harbour, which could have disrupted the satellite positioning signals for the drones. Andy Young, chairman of the Drone Association Hong Kong, said solar activity caused this issue and it could hold the drones from aligning correctly. Even if we try to take off the drones, the pattern formed is likely to be scattered and may result in a drone collision, Young added. The show on Monday at the West Kowloon Cultural District, which would have featured 2,099 drones, was substituted with rehearsal footage by the organizers. Young said that 2 tests conducted at noon and in the evening were normal. However, about 20 minutes before the performance, an anomaly was detected. Young described the situation, saying, "Suddenly, we saw severe fluctuations, similar to a Wi-Fi connection constantly dropping in and out." Yesterday, 5 districts in Shenzhen had to postpone their drone shows for a few hours due to similar atmospheric conditions. Tonight, the Suicide One Sports Ground is hosting the Eastern District Drone Show cum Variety Show at 7 p.m. The event was originally scheduled for last month, but was postponed due to heavy rain. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
A study conducted by the University of Hong Kong has found that over half of the male parents looking after children with special needs experience feelings of shame and guilt during the caregiving process. Surveying almost 500 fathers of children with special needs aged 2 to 12, the study revealed that 76% felt guilt, while 65% experienced shame. Almost 95% engaged in compensatory behavior to make up for perceived shortcomings. The research quotes that fathers faced embarrassment when their children exhibit unusual behavior in public. They often feel ashamed by the curious stares of bystanders. This leads many to avoid taking their children out and participating in social activities, which could affect their children's development. Lo Kai-chung, assistant lecturer in the university's Department of Social Work and Social Administration, suggested that the government establish support centers for male caregivers and enhance education to reduce the stigma surrounding children with special needs.
Chief Executive Zhang Li attended a variety show in celebration of 75th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. The event at the Hong Kong Coliseum in Hong Kong is based on the theme Patriotism and Love for Hong Kong, Shining for China. Through various performances and acts, the show aims to enhance patriotism among Hong Kongers and promote a sense of community belonging. The event will also focus on reinvigorating a strong sense of national pride among the city's youth. Passengers were evacuated from the train at Yau Tong MTR station when a commuter's handheld fan caught fire. A 36-year-old male passenger suffered burns to his waist this morning. When the lithium battery of the device ignited, he was sent to United Christian Hospital for treatment. The flames had already been extinguished when firefighters arrived at the scene. The train, which was heading towards North Point, was later taken to the Tseung Kwan O Depot for inspection.
Typhoon Kraton was downgraded overnight as it moved slowly towards the southwestern coast of Taiwan and is expected to make landfall early tomorrow. While the storm's intensity has decreased, it is still bringing torrential rainfall and strong winds to various regions. A total of 22 counties and cities across Taiwan have suspended work and classes, bracing for the storm. Supermarket shelves were empty as residents snatched up essentials in extra quantities. In response to the typhoon, 13 mountainous road sections in Hualien and Taichung have been closed as a precaution. Additionally, several train routes operated by Taiwan Railways have been suspended, and all domestic flights and 246 international flights were cancelled. The port city of Kaohsiung is expected to be hit hard as it is in the eye of the storm. More than 38,000 troops are on standby to help in the relief effort. Many flights between Hong Kong and major Taiwanese cities, including Taipei, Kaohsiung, and Taichung, have been cancelled by various airlines, including Cathay Pacific, HK Express, EVA Air, and Hong Kong Airlines, over the next few days. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
After Iran's unprecedented missile barrage on Israel, explosions were heard and smoke was visible along the Beirut skyline in the early hours today. The Israeli military confirmed it was striking Hezbollah targets in the Lebanon's capital and sending more troops into South Lebanon as it escalates its ground operation. Iran launched at least 180 ballistic missiles into Israel yesterday, signaling a sharp escalation of the months-long conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed militias group Hezbollah. The orange glow of missiles streaked across Israel's night sky. Many fell at or near the headquarters of Israeli intelligence service Mossad and military bases. Apparent missile fragments also fell in the occupied West Bank. One person was killed. Israel's Iron Dome air defense system intercepted most of the incoming missiles, while Iran claimed 90% of its missiles successfully hit the targets in Israel. In both Gaza and Tehran, people celebrated Iran's bombardment on Israel. Iran said it was a response to Israeli killings of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and warned of broader strikes if Israel is not contained by the US and Europe, fueling fears of all-out war. US President Joe Biden reiterated Washington's support for Israel and said he is in active discussion with aides about the appropriate response. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to retaliate, saying Iran had made a big mistake and will pay for it. On the diplomatic front, Israel urged the United Nations to condemn Iran's actions. The UN Security Council will convene an emergency meeting later today to address the situation. Both the UN and European Union have called for a ceasefire. The United Nations is also asking Lebanon and Israel to implement UN Security Council Resolution 1701 to end the military conflict and ease the situation. Anna Chen, Cable News. In a highly anticipated U.S. vice presidential debate between Republican nominee J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz of the Democratic Party, the two rivals mostly struck a cordial tone. The face-off started with the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Both supported Israel's right to self-defense, but Walz went a bit off track, commenting on Trump's age in his response.
But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago, a nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment.
In the relatively civil and restrained 90-minute conversation, the two candidates spent much more time going after the other's running mate than each other, focusing largely on policy differences, including the key issue of immigration.
The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America.
Moderators of U.S. news broadcaster CBS had to mute the mics for both candidates when they started arguing on the legal status of Haitian migrants.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much to get to.
Walz and Vance served up less drama than the Kamala Harris-Donald Trump debate. 51% of viewers said Vance did a better job, while 49% picked Walz. The debate also left them with more positive views of both candidates.
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here, and I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator.
Me too, man.
There's one.
Anna Chen, Cable News.